Hello everyone, today on Scottish Memories we are chatting to Jenny Hulse. So how are you all? Hope you are all happy and healthy and well out there. Just before we get started, if you haven't already, please remember to subscribe to the podcast and of course the YouTube channel. Wherever you get your podcasts, remember to like and follow and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Just, there's a button down there. Go press that. But today, I'm really excited because we are talking to Jenny Hulse. You might recognise Jenny from things like Walter's War, Voices, Taggart, In Plain Sight, Outlaw King, and of course, River City. Jenny, hello. How are you?
Hello. I'm good, thanks. Yeah, great. Lovely to be here.
Well, no, it's genuine. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on and chat. It really means the world. It really, really does.
Thank you.
So just before we get started, how are you? You happy and healthy and well and everything like that?
Yep, happy, healthy, well. I feel like I've still not had COVID, and we're at the stage where everyone seems to be getting it, so we're kind of like dodging. But no, yeah, all good. The sun's shining today. It's one of those lovely kind of wintry, blue sky, cold but nice days. So
I love days like this because it's exactly the same here. There's just that fresh, that fresh nip in the air that just fills you up.
Yeah, totally. And as long as it's not raining, right? It's like
and that's a plus.
And it's got light, and you can feel the sunlight on your face. It's lovely.
I know, you see in the summer, if we have beautiful clear days like this in the summer, it would be amazing. But we get beautiful clear days in the winter.
I know, yeah. But when there is, it's funny, like when there is a beautiful clear day in the summer with, temperatures over maybe 17 degrees, it's the best place to be.
Yeah.
And you sort of feel like because you don't get it so often, everyone's like so up for it. Like you can really feel the kind of joy in people, and folk are really making the most of it. There's barbecues in the park. There's folks sitting outside in beer gardens, and so that's the kind of, I would say, the plus side to living somewhere pretty cold.
Yeah, I was chatting to my wife about the barbecue sort of thing because my mum she was obsessed with getting a barbecue built in the garden for our little one, for our dog. That was a big part
like
of
body barbecue. No,
she wanted, because we used to have barbecues in the garden a lot growing up.
Yeah.
And they don't have a barbecue now, and she wanted to get a barbecue back to do the same thing. To have barbecues in the garden. And then I started having the conversation of our Scottish barbecues are very different to, say, American barbecues.
Oh God, yeah.
Burgers and sausages. That's it.
Yeah.
Do you find that generally, as soon as the sun comes out, the three things that go in a supermarket are rolls, burgers, and sausages?
Yeah, and the wee disposable barbecues that you get. And then you see all over the park just like flattened out, burnt patches of grass all over the park, like, kind of smoke coming from it, billowing. Yeah, it's like there's been some kind of a war.
No, we're very, as soon as there's a little bit of sun, we're just out there going, burn me.
Yeah, vitamin D, come on. I know.
I'll jump in with the first question properly. So whereabouts did you grow up?
So I was born in London, actually, in Brixton. And I moved up here when I was 7. My mum got a job up here, so we moved to Morningside.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a London-born, Edinburgh, Morningside lass.
Yeah. Well, I can't hear a London accent in there at all now. So
no, I mean, it just kind of naturally went. Like I started school, and I mean, come on, Morningside's hardly like broad Scottish, but I think I just picked it. You picked it up, and you want to fit in at school, and I would do this thing where, because my dad always lived in London, my parents got divorced, and so we'd go back and forth a lot. in summer holidays and things, and I would be English when I went down to England, and then Scottish when I was in Scotland. For a really long time, I'd really chop and change. And then it just, it's kind of settled down now, and this is my accent now, you know, unless I'm doing a job. But yeah.
Yeah, of course. I had a friend at college who was the same. He, not Scotland and England, his was Finland and America.
Oh, wow.
He'd learned how to speak English in America with half his family, but he was Finnish.
Yeah.
He would properly, like, you know, it would be in his flat and he'd be on the phone talking to one member of the family, and then they'd pass the phone over or whatever, and he'd just change into Finnish.
Yeah.
In a second, and you're sitting there going, how does the brain do that?
It's nuts. It's like an ear thing. It's like, and I do that sometimes, you know, I'll be speaking to, and it's subconscious, and sometimes, I mean, I don't know how it comes across, but you could be speaking to someone who's American and your accent kind of slides into that kind of, you know, and, you know, God, the person you're talking to is probably like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But it's not
the name for that, though. There's a proper name for that. Yeah. I can't remember it now. But there is, like, I don't want to say mimic-ism, but there is a name for people who just can't help it. They start to copy the accent or gestures or physicalities or anything.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know, it's a kind of wanting to just be comfortable with someone or make them feel comfortable or something. I don't know. Yeah. No. I totally get that. Coming up here at such a young age then, I mean, it might be a difficult question because obviously it is a young age. Was there any big differences you spotted as a youth then? Oh, totally. Like, it's such a different culture up here. It just is. And all the better for it, actually. I remember, like, there were just things at school, like, words that I did not know what they were. Like, everyone would be like, right, get your jotters out. And I'd be like, what's a jotter? What is a jotter? It's a notebook, you know, it's your school notebook. Things like that. And, you know, food, you know, like mince and tatties and haggis and all the traditional Scottish foods I never really had at home, so that I would learn to, you know, fall in love with them at friends' houses or so it's funny. It definitely was a bit of a culture shock, I think. At a young age, you don't, because, you know, you're sort of not aware of, like, the Scottish things. So you're sort of like, you're kind of learning anyway, you know what I mean? Like, if I'd have stayed down in London, there would have been things that I wouldn't have known about until I'd got to a certain age. So it was kind of very natural and flowing. Like, it wasn't like, oh my God, apart from the jotter thing, it wasn't like, you know, too jarring at all. But certain words you had to kind of learn, and but always, you know, it was always kind of in a very natural way. And now, and also because I went to a Scottish drama school, we would learn, you know, Scots and all sorts, so that coming without that background, I guess, but yet because I had a Scottish accent, sort of it's expected that you know it, means that you're in a kind of interesting position, you know, to kind of learn about it and sort of see it afresh, I guess, without any baggage from the past or references. So in a way it was kind of hard, but in another way it was kind of interesting. I mean, it's all I've known, really. So
yeah. Well, you sparked up a couple of things in my head there. One, jotters. I haven't heard the word jotters for years because you don't once you're out of school.
It's only a word you use in school. Jotters.
And then I was remembering how the teachers used to get you to cover your jotters. You remember that?
With wallpaper or wrapping paper, and you had a lot of jotters, especially in high school. So,
and it was totally accepted. You went home and you were like, I need to cover my jotters. And your parents would go, we've got this old roll of wallpaper. It's like, I don't get why we did that.
I guess it was to protect them, but but then they'd get battered anyway,
Yeah.
or you'd get bored and you'd start like I would anyway, peeling off the sellotape on the inside of the book, or you doodle all over it, or you know,
front inside cover would just be covered in doodles.
Or LC IDST, you know, if destroyed, still true.
Yeah, yes. There was a thing that just popped up as well. I can't remember how it was done, but I do remember something about getting your name and the name of the person you fancied, and if you got it down to a certain number.
Yes, it was like a calculation thing.
Yeah, it meant that you were perfect for each other.
Yeah.
God, this is what I did instead of actual schoolwork.
Me too.
This is why I became an actor.
Me too. Education's wasted on the youth.
Yeah, it really is. I'm going to jump a little bit because obviously you mentioned you went to Scottish Drama School. It was RSAMD. Well, I know it was RSAMD, but
definitely RSAMD when I was there.
So I'm going to go ask about the jump from Edinburgh to Glasgow. Then it was very different.
Oh, totally. Yeah, like I mean, it was. Yeah, it was a sudden, like, I mean, at that age as well, you're just desperate to leave your home, you know, so like I was like, oh my God, Glasgow's amazing, you know, and like I'm never coming back to Edinburgh, no way, Glasgow's brilliant. And I started off, I was in halls on Queen Street, so really central to Glasgow, and then your route up to college, you know, up the hill, up Buchanan Street.
Yeah.
And sort of round the back and along Sauchiehall Street. And so that, my kind of first taste of living in Glasgow was living in the centre of town, Merchant City, walking up to college and back, you know, pubs along the way, Trader Joe's round the corner. And we do there'd be karaoke at this bar on Buchanan Street that's no longer there, sadly. But we'd, you know, I mean, we must have been so annoying for the locals, all these drama school kids going in and like really taking it seriously as well. Like,
I don't know what you're talking about there.
Yeah, you know, harmonizing and all that. It was brilliant, and then but it took me a while to sort of discover other bits. Like, I didn't get on the subway for a really, you know, probably the best part of a year because I was walking to college. And so when I got on the subway and I got out at the West End, you know, I was like, I remember coming out at Hillhead subway station and like there's a wee lane called Ruffin Lane just across from the subway station off Byres Road, and there were like fairy lights and a cool vintage shop and all that, and I was like, oh my God, what is this world? And then I was pals with because in halls you know, RSND's got music and opera and all sorts, so I made pals with an opera singer and a girl, my friend Siobhan Miller, who's quite a famous Scottish singer. I made pals with her. She was on the Scottish music course, and the opera singer pals' parents were buying her a flat in the West End. So I kind of got in with her, and we lived in this flat in the West End, a bunch of us, and had big parties there, and it was just brilliant. And then, you know, as time went on, I stopped being such a kind of West End Wendy and moved to the South Side, and I was up in Mary Hill for a bit. I mean, that's still West End, but so yeah, my relationship with Glasgow became from a very sort of singular reason why I was there, and it sort of grew and grew and grew. And then I left college and lived, you know, stayed in Glasgow for a while, and so my knowledge of it grew. And it's amazing, and it's there's a total rivalry between Glasgow and Edinburgh, but I just I think because they're so close, and having lived in London as well, you're used to, you know, getting on the tube in London and it taking an hour and a half for you to get to your work anyway. But I've always just thought of them as kind of like, I mean, they're very obviously they're two very different cities, but they're so close that you don't need to kind of be like, oh, I'm either Glasgow or Edinburgh. It's for me, it's very like I'm in both all the time.
I completely agree. I'm the same. Obviously, there is that rivalry, and it's a friendly rivalry. It is a friendly rivalry for the most part.
Sometimes quite aggressive, but yeah.
But friends can be aggressive. Friends can be aggressive, and it's only like in Scotland. Once you're out of Scotland, you know that rivalry sort of.
Oh no, it's you're Scottish, so you're pals, of course. Yeah.
But I'm probably very much the same as you. Although I've not lived in Glasgow. You know, I've had to go through many times for audition, film, or anything like that because it's always all through there.
Yeah,
very little through this sort of side. A little more now. It's
changing. Yeah, it's changing now.
But so I've got a big love for Glasgow. I think I think the fact that the two cities are so different goes to both of their advantages. You
totally.
You can really explore both of them.
Yeah,
see two different sides of Scotland completely.
Yeah, and then that's just the cities, and then you can, I work a lot in Dumbarton. That's where River City films.
Yeah.
So that even going slightly west of Glasgow, you're opened up to like going out to Helensburgh along the water, or the Balloch, it's really near Balloch, the kind of opening to Loch Lomond, and then Edinburgh. I mean, God, you can go down the coast to East Lothian or Mid Lothian, like up at the Pentlands, and it's both cities. It's a pretty short drive away from the city centre. So and that's the lovely thing. As I've got older and kind of a bit more like, sort of being a bit more honest with myself and being like, right, what fills me up, as a person, and I mean, I am very much a city girl, but I think as I've got older, I'm like, oh my God, no, actually, like being by the sea fills my soul, or being out in the hills. And I mean, I love a view. Oh my God, I need to be up high seeing things. And so, even God, my drive to work to Dumbarton, you'll go over the Erskine Bridge and see when you're driving towards Dumbarton over the Erskine Bridge. I mean, you're driving, so you can't really luxuriate in the view, but that view, the Clyde going out towards, like, you've got Greenock on one side, Dumbarton on the other, and then out to the sea is just, and with the hill, you can see Ben Lomond, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I've filmed up that way twice because I've done many years. About 10 years ago, I did one episode of Riverside.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I was a cop. I was just coming out to arrest someone. It seems to happen in the area quite a lot. But I also filmed a period drama in the same thing there for a couple of years actually. And you're right, that area round about there. So obviously you've got the loch right there and everything as well. It's beautiful, and you go from. And I suppose you could say this about any part of Edinburgh, any part of the outskirts of Edinburgh, any part of the outskirts of Glasgow, really. You just go from residential to countryside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we're so lucky here in Edinburgh and Glasgow that 10 minutes, 15 or 10 minutes to half an hour drive in one direction, and you're in the country.
Yeah.
Which you just don't get in a lot of other parts of Britain.
No.
You're just like, yeah, I can get out of the city and I can enjoy. I'm the same as you. Views, I love.
And it's not just countryside. It's like stunning views, like really iconic parts of the country. Like you're not just in a field or something looking at some sheep. You're in a field looking at some sheep with some mountains behind you, or beautiful sea with Bass Rock like in the distance. It's glorious. We're so lucky.
We really are. We really are. So with that, since we're talking about getting out and going about, growing up then, well, you kind of said that, you split your time holidays and things between London and Scotland. But was there many? Did you get to explore Scotland in your youth? Was there sort of
Yeah,
going about? Yeah.
yeah. Like we never really went abroad at all when I was a kid. So it was, and my dad had a camper van. He still does actually, but it's very, very rusty now. But yeah, so we would be going up, and I've got family in just outside Inverness.
Right.
So we'd be up to stay with them, or we'd be in the camper van and we'd go up. God, we went up one summer to like Gairloch, and I mean up there it's like Lord of the Rings country, you know. It's like vast, and I can't remember it being that touristy at the time. Actually, it was just us, me, my dad, my brother and sister, like, you know, in this wilderness and being dragged up hills. My dad's a big hill walker, so. And at the time, obviously, I hated it. I'd be like, oh, you know, getting dragged up these hills and not in a camper van. I was like, why can't we just go to Spain like normal people? You know, I totally hated it and complained so much. I mean, you know, I must have been a right drag to be around. But that, I think, has really stuck with me, and that's what I want now. What I want to do with my daughter, and yeah, and we went, I remember one year we went up and we stayed at Applecross. Have you ever been up there?
I've heard of it. I've never been, no.
I can't actually, in my head, figure out where it is. Anyway, if people know it, it's a beautiful little village, sort of, and there's a loch, or is it the sea? I think it's a loch. Big loch.
It's either a really big loch,
yeah,
to see.
And you know, pubs and shops and things, and just eating fish and chips and staying in the campsite, and we went to Mull. I really remember swimming in the sea at Mull and being, you know, freezing and sort of sitting shivering in a towel trying to get warm, and then going across to Iona, getting the boat to Iona. God, and yeah, sorry, this is just I've been a lot of places actually when I was little. We went to Hoy one year, to one of the Orkney Isles.
You really did get about when you.
Yeah. And that was amazing. Like that was like vast. And then there's the Old Man of Hoy, which is this big. You see it a lot in like adverts for Visit Scotland, or, you know, that kind of thing, because it's such a kind of landmark structure. Like it's this big stack of rocks in the sea. I think it's basically a bit of cliff has broken away over hundreds and thousands of years from the land, the main land, and is just sticking out from the kind of cliffside where you would stand, you know, a few, maybe 100 yards out in the sea.
Yeah.
And so that's an amazing thing to see, and people climb it and stuff, you know. So I really remember that. And again, yeah, maybe that's why I love a view so much, because I was lucky enough to just be exposed to that kind of thing a lot when I was growing up.
See, I think I missed out on that when I was a kid, because my mum and dad were very much going abroad.
Well, don't blame them.
No, I mean, it was great, and I was very lucky. I mean, no denying that at all. But everyone I've spoke to when I've been doing these, like, oh yeah, we got in the caravan, we went here, we got in the camper van, we went there, and I'm like, I've been in none of these places. You know, I've been to very few. Me and my wife are now making sure we take Lillian to places.
Yeah,
I went to Loch Ness for the first time last year.
Wow, my God.
So when I hear all these stories of people growing up and saying, oh, we went here, we went there, I'm like, I'm so jealous.
But God, I mean, at the time, I would have been jealous of you, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I really didn't. I mean, I'm sure I did on some level appreciate it, but it's only looking back that I'm like, oh, that was a golden time. When actually I was like in a mood, like, you know, I mean, thank God mobile phones didn't exist then, because if I'd been, you know, if I'd had a phone, I'd have just been on my phone all the time.
Yeah, walking up a hill going, I've got no signal.
Yeah, but it was amazing. And then, yeah, that kind of, I've had jobs. I had a job on Skye, and I'd never been to Skye before a few years ago. And it was one of those, I was only filming for like 2 days, but I had to be there for the week because they had to have all the cast like there. And even just getting there, like, I got in a van in Glasgow with a couple of the other actors, and we just got driven up to Skye. And that was kind of amazing in itself. Just a road trip, up that way is like insane, listening to music pumping out the van, us getting to know each other, and then sort of arrived on Skye, and I had loads, like, they were, there was other stuff going on, they were filming, so during the day I'd just have these free days, and then I'd meet up for dinner with the rest of the cast at night. So I went up the old, have you been to Skye?
No. Oh, tell I. Yes, I have, but I didn't get to explore it at all. I was actually roadieing from my friends.
You were roadieing?
Yeah. You know what it's like being a jobbing actor. You do anything you can. In my mate's band, they needed someone to drive and help with the equipment a couple of times. So, yeah, okay. So I did that. So I didn't get to see any of it. I drove up to Skye, did the driving, helped them set up, watched the gig, went to sleep, and then drove them back the next morning. That's my trip to Skye.
Go again, because it's true what everyone says. It's unbelievable. Like, it's just beautiful. And I think I'm quite proud of myself because I really embraced being there. I think had I been a bit younger, I would have probably just been like, oh no, I need to think about my scenes and, just spend the whole time worrying about doing the work. But actually I was like, do you know what? I'm so lucky to be here. I'm just going to enjoy it. And I took there's a little bus that goes round, and I would just take the bus round and get off at certain places and kind of explore. And I went up the Old Manor Store, which is this beautiful, like rock formation up a big hill on Skye. And yeah, the view from there, and like looking at it's the rock formations and stuff are so different up there. And I was watching the BFG, this recent BFG film with my kids the other day. She's obsessed with it, so we watch it like every day at the moment. And Giant Country, I was like, that has to be modelled on Skye, and or at least some islands up there, and you kind of, the more and more you see that in films, and the more and more you go up north and up to the Isles, you're like, oh my God, this is referenced in culture all the time. Like, production designers must just, have a field day with kind of using it for inspiration. So yeah, Skye was just amazing. Oh, and we filmed on this beach called Coral Beach, that was like white sand and crystal clear waters. Like, you could have been in Barbados or something.
I've heard about this beach from so many people.
And I don't think it's that easy to get to. Like, we had to get on like these crazy tractor things and go, because there's lots of big kind of dunes, and it's not like a touristy spot, like here's the car park and here are the public toilets and all that. It's quite an effort to get there, but it's deserted and just gorgeous. Like,
I've heard about this beach because there's a British holiday companies, when they're wanting to make holiday adverts.
Oh yeah.
On a beautiful sunny day, they will quickly put a crew together and get up there and film there and pretend it's Barbados or wherever. They'll use that beach because it saves a fortune. Yeah.
That's so dishonest.
I know. Who was it? I can't remember. It was on one of these interviews they were telling me. I think it was Zara Janjur. And she was just telling me, like, yeah, so many times, just jump the crew put together, get some models slash
Get
actors
them
get up and get them in their bikinis in the north of Scotland and say, make it, I know it's sunny, but make it feel like it's hot as well, and have them running about. And you know the thing as well, like we were just saying, it's a beautiful sunny day today.
It is,
but it is not warm.
No.
So right now there could be some poor actor up there going, I'm on my holidays. You kind of preempted me there, because my next question was going to be, with filming and things, has there been places around Scotland that's just made you fall in love with it?
Oh yeah, like that trip to Skye was like really special, and you get to know a place differently when you're working there, as opposed to when you're on holiday there. You kind of you can do, like I did do touristy things on my days off there, but I also, you speak to the locals a bit differently because it's a different dynamic, or like we got to know the hotel staff really, really well, because there was just a big load of us filming up there, so it became, you use the place differently, I think. Which is interesting. And also, like I've been on lots of like Scottish tours up up north, up to like Eden Court Theatre up in Inverness, and I'd love to go to Mull Theatre. My friend Ashley does a lot of work with Mull Theatre, and that's just looks incredible. But you get to know it differently. You kind of going to the pub after work, after a show, and staying in digs and or B&Bs, and it's just great.
So that's one of the things. Obviously, I don't act really anymore, and I do miss it. And maybe one day I'll be lucky enough to get back into it. But whenever I did tours, and they were classed as UK tours, never came to Scotland. Never came to Scotland. Like, it's not really a UK tour.
Yeah.
But most of them, they were just around England. Because like I said, I trained in England.
Yeah.
I trained in London, and then stayed down there and worked for 5-6 years.
Yeah.
So most of the gigs I got were down there, and until I moved back up here, and it was all like, I remember doing a brilliant play called Murdered to Death, and I was understudy and resident director.
Oh my God.
I know. And I had to understudy all 6 male parts.
Oh my God.
Never got on stage.
Oh.
Never got on stage with it. But during the days, like exactly like you, just saying, hey, I'm only here for a week.
Yeah.
Let's just explore. And it is a unique position to get into. You know what I mean? You're probably in somewhere where you might not have decided to go.
Yeah.
It probably never popped into your head to go, let's go there and explore it. And you're like, all right, okay, here I am. Let's see what you've got. And it's a nice way. We're lucky in that sort of way to get to explore.
And also actually thinking about, because you're there working and you're not on holiday, there's not that pressure to have an amazing time, So you're not gonna, if you eat in a slightly shite restaurant, or if you go somewhere and it's not quite up to what you expected it to be, it's like, that was just my day. That was just my day off, and now I'll go and do a show. That's cool. So that level of expectation and stuff is your expectations are quite low, or that, so you're not, and it's not your time off and loads of money being spent on this holiday. So I think that adds to it, to the kind of experience you get when you're working and visiting somewhere.
Yeah, it does change it. And while you're sort of bringing up holidays and things, I'm very lucky. The people that watch the channel are from all over the world. Over the world. I'm really lucky in that sort of way. And a lot of them are, now they're starting to plan holidays again. They did used to. And now it looks like they're starting to plan. And so if people are thinking about coming over, what would be your top hints and tips? Places to visit, literally anything.
Oh my God. Well, I think if you come to Edinburgh, go up Calton Hill. Go up Calton, go up Arthur's Seat if you want. Arthur's Seat's great, but I actually prefer Calton Hill because it's a shorter walk.
Yeah.
It's an intense, steep.
The steps. You can go up the steps.
You need the steps, and you know, the vista over Edinburgh, because it's not as tall, is that? Yeah, it's not as high as Arthur's Seat, but it's high enough. You can kind of see the streets and the kind of areas kind of you can see more detail. Yeah. And then you can see out to Fife, to East Lothian, and you can see Arthur's Seat as well, and the castle and all of that. So I would go there, get something to eat at like Joseph Pearce's or something, which is like Top of Leith Walk, and I would also actually really recommend going down to, because we're so lucky having the hills and the sea right here, I'd get down to like Newhaven, which is very near to where I live, because you can, it's got a great chippy there, and also you can walk right out to this sort of Newhaven harbour, which is really pretty with the boats, and then you can kind of walk out along Platinum Point, and you really feel sort of like you're right out there, right on the sea, and it's just, God, I love the sea, and you can see the bridges as well. Yeah. So that'd be my top tip, and also get on because everything's so close, really. Get some of I love train journeys, and some of my favourite train journeys have been up the East Coast, like get on at Edinburgh, and if you're going up to Dundee or Aberdeen, that line that goes over the Fourth Rail Bridge, so you see an iconic, landmark right there, and then and also like the Queensferry Crossing. How beautiful is that? I love that bridge.
It is a beautiful, beautiful bridge. I remember when they were going to build it, I was like, why are we getting a new bridge? It's beautiful.
It's beautiful. When you're driving it, I don't know, it's something with the design, like it sort of all merges into one, like the don't even know what it's called. There's probably some technical thing, but the bridge structure merges and changes as you drive over it, which is really beautiful. And you can see it from the Fourth Rail Bridge when you're on the train. And getting the train up sort of up the coast of Fife is just stunning. Like you could just sit and watch the world go by.
And you really see as you go up that side of the country, and I'm sure it's exactly the same on the other side of the country. You start to see us change from lowlands to highlands.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful transformation. It really is.
Yeah. And it's slow, because you're on the train, it's a slightly slower, more gradual sort of, and obviously you're not driving, so you can see it. You can kind of really like luxuriate in it. I'd love to explore Fife more, like, and that's another thing. Edinburgh folk have a real problem with Fife. I mean, what's the deal with that? Like, Fife.
I don't know. Sorry, my dogs are barking in the background. Right? I apologise. Yeah, I don't really have a problem with Fife. I'm going to be honest, it's not something I've really explored a lot.
No,
and it's like that. I can see it. You know what I mean? It's like, but I think the most time I spent over there was when I was dating a girl in my late teens who lived there. I think that's probably the most I ever spent in that area. Yeah, kind of that sort of area. Yeah.
But like people like new and totally gone from me. And that trail, is it? Up that side anyway, beautiful sort of steep Anstruther as well, like lovely kind of coastal Fife towns that I've never been to, and God, they're an hour away, an hour's drive or a quick train journey away. But so I'd get along that way, or I mean, God, I'd go down East Lothian way, we used to go to Gullen a lot when I was a kid, and go down the sand dunes and take tea trays and slide down the sand dunes and all that. I don't actually think you're supposed to do that anymore because it probably wrecks the dunes. But there's just.
I do think East Lothian is missed out a little, because it's so close to obviously Edinburgh, and it's just beautiful coastline.
Yeah,
and it's a beautiful area.
Post lockdown, people, I think everyone wants to live in East Lothian now. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's stunning. And it's funny, talking about growing up and going to these places like Gullen or North Berwick, or when I was younger, or Portobello even. Back then, it wasn't so we didn't have smartphones, so kind of viewed in a way, that way when people want to take the picture of the beautiful view, or they want to sort of show that they're in this place, which I want to do as well. I do that all the time. But I think it's kind of special that I got to know these places before that, just as, and they weren't as busy. Sounds like, oh, the good old days. But they weren't as busy back then. They weren't, didn't have as many trendy coffee shops. And
the shows that used to be down Portobello, my dad used to take me all the time.
Yeah.
They're just not there anymore.
But there's Nobles is still there, the penny arcade bit.
Yeah, how that's still alive,
I don't know.
But
it's like walking into a time warp. Yeah,
really, I'm sure the carpet is still the same from when I was a kid. And I think they still got that weird little bingo with a slidey, the permanent bingo cards with sliding things.
Yeah.
Good. That properly brings back memories.
Yeah. Dodgems there when the shows were there. They had Dodgems, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
Oh, I loved all that.
Yeah.
And a big caterpillar roller coaster.
Yeah. Oh, I used to love it. My dad used to work there when I was young, so we were there quite a lot. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I know you're busy, so I've only got one last thing to ask you, and it's what I like to call difficult questions for us Scots.
Okay.
So shortbread or tablet?
Oh, shortbread, but only if it's really good homemade shortbread, like proper, that melts in your mouth. I don't want that shortbread that's mass produced from a tin. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, melt in the mouth shortbread. But that's a very hard choice to make.
It's funny, me and my wife were talking about that last night. My gran used to make incredible shortbread, as did Kirsten. Grans make great shortbread.
Yeah.
There's this little thing that I used to remember when she used to make it, if I was helping. I don't remember, she used to make great tablet as well.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really difficult to make. Is
it? Yeah. It's just
beat it. But I remember her making a tablet and putting it into the tin, and I would get the job of getting the fork and stabbing the pan. It always has the wee holes.
Yeah. Why does it need the wee holes?
No idea. I'd stab the wee holes to the pan, and then get my thumb, and because it was always a round tin she would have, and go around the outside to give it that sort of pattern all the way around.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
I'm the same though. Shortbread. I love tablet, but shortbread and a cup of tea or a glass of milk.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Yeah. Iron brewer whiskey.
I only ever have iron brew with a chippy, a salt and sauce, Edinburgh chippy, and I only ever really have whiskey with I would say iron brew.
Yeah. Well, while you're there, I'm going to add in the extra bit then of, because obviously you've lived in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Edinburgh, chippy sauce is a yes then.
Yes. 100%.
Because they do not get it over there.
What are you doing, guys? Chippy sauce. always.
But whenever I've chatted to them from Glasgow, they're just like, what is that chippy sauce? What is that? I'm like, it is heaven. That's what it is.
Everything. Like, you have to have it, yeah.
I don't know if it was something that when you were young, when you don't think of it here. It's so just part of the culture, chippy sauce. Yeah. Whenever you go anywhere else and they don't have it, when you discover that other places don't have it, you're like,
this is weird.
Why do you not have it?
Yeah. Or you ask for salt and sauce and they salt the chips and they just give you the wee sachets of brown sauce. You're like, no, that's not what I meant. Yeah. I know it's, I think to anyone coming to Edinburgh, get a chippy with salt and sauce. Oh, my favourite is actually a pizza supper, like fried pizza supper with lashings of brown, chippy sauce on it and a can of Iron Brew. Oh. Yeah.
I'm exactly the same. On a rare occasion, maybe a hamburger supper. But
no.
Deep fried pizza, not with batter on it, because I know.
No, it's not a pizza crunch. No. It has to be just a plain. So it's like the grease is really seeping out its pores. It's almost like a fried bread, that kind of.
It's like a heart attack in a bun.
Oh, yeah, and then I'd make a wee piece with the bits of pizza, and then I'd put the chips in the middle, and
I will ask this one, but I don't know if you're vegetarian or not. So square sausage or black pudding?
Oh, black pudding.
That doesn't usually win.
I'm not that much of a fan of square sausage.
I think I'm kind of with you there.
Eh?
I'm kind of with you there. I mean, square sausage, I can enjoy it on a roll, but it would never be my first choice.
No.
I find it can be a little bit rubbery.
Yes, it's a bit rubbery.
Yeah.
And also, that's a funny thing. In Glasgow, that would be called a sausage roll. And if you want a roll with a link sausage in it, that's a roll and sausage, which is very confusing to anyone who's not Glaswegian. A square I'd eat a square sausage roll as long as the roll was really good. But no, I'd go for black pudding on a fried egg or something. I love black pudding with egg. It's really good. Crumbled, yeah.
My head went on a full journey then. The dogs are not enjoying summer today. I went on a full journey then of anyone coming into Scotland or Glasgow, in particular now in my head, and wanting a sausage roll and getting now the option of what they would call a roll and sausage, a sausage roll, or like a sausage roll from Greg's, which are all very different things.
Oh, and is a square sausage actually called a Lorne sausage?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So sometimes it'd be a Lorne sausage. Yeah, it's very confusing. I mean, how amazing we've got several types, of sausage. Yes.
This is something for us to be proud of.
But sausage is just flattened, isn't it? Square sausage.
It is. That's all it is. We've just not bothered to put it through the tube and turn it in. We're just like, just flatten it down and put it on a roll. That's fine. Yeah. That way it takes up more of the roll. It's easier.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense. It really makes sense when you're having it with a roll.
Yeah.
Links that you have to chop in half and it can burn your fingers and all that. So I understand why it exists. Yeah. I do.
Haggis, neeps and tatties, or mince and tatties? See, these are the difficult questions. These really are.
I would go. Oh God, my mother-in-law does an amazing mince and tatties with dumplings. But haggis, neeps and tatties, because it's the time of year, I'll say haggis, neeps and tatties.
Yeah, we're very close to Burns now. We're very close to Burns.
Right, yeah. Or maybe, haggis, neeps and tatties, and they, certain restaurants do like a beautiful creamy whiskey sauce, peppery sauce. It's like gorgeous.
Yeah. Absolutely. And last but by no means least, and this is what most people hate me for this question. Tunnocks, tea cakes, or caramel wafers?
Why do you have to choose?
I know, but that's just the nature of the beast.
I mean, I'll just have to go for present, Jenny, because I love both of them. But at the moment, I really enjoy a caramel wafer and dipping it in a cup of tea. I'm really enjoying that at the moment. So I'll go caramel wafer, but Tunnock's tea cake, it's iconic, isn't it?
Oh, it really is. I think Tunnock's tea cake is a kind of a treat, whereas a caramel wafer is a bit more everyday. You can enjoy it more often.
Get it in your lunchbox at school or whatever. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, God, the foil, like I've got at my front door, we've got a little picture. I think we picked it up in like a little arty store in North Berwick, and it's Scotland's. It's like the landmass of Scotland, but it's been laser cut on a Tunnock's tea cake.
I mean, can you get any more iconic, really?
It's great.
Do you remember a little while ago as well, a couple of years ago around about town, there was, around Scotland, sorry, there was the Ur Willie statues.
Oh, yeah.
There was one on Coburn Street, which was just Tunnock's tea cake wrappers. The whole thing was just Tunnock's tea cake wrappers.
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, it was cool. It was very cool. Jenny, this has been brilliant. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me today.
Well, thanks for asking me. That was lovely. And I need to go up to Fife. That's my New Year's resolution. Go up, stay at the East Nuke, explore that.
I will make a point to do that.
Skye.
Yes, I do. Well, Lillian's going to get taken everywhere. She's going to have a childhood somewhat yours. She's going to get dragged.
She'll probably moan. And then when she's older, she'll be so glad that you did it.
That'll do. That'll do me. Jenny, this has been amazing. Thank you so much.
Oh, Tony, thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
That was lovely. That was lovely. It was such a pleasure to chat to Jenny and get to share these memories. I hope you've enjoyed that. If you have, as always, please remember to subscribe. But till next time, bye humans.